This is the Truth Network. Welcome to Truth Talk Live.
All right, let's talk.
The truth is, I can't hide it. I can't hold it no more.
A daily program powered by the Truth Network,
This is kind of a great thing, and I'll tell you why.
where pop culture, current events, and theology all come together.
Speak
Your mind.
And now, here's today's Truth Talk Live host.
How do you, as a Christian believer, we're so grateful you're listening, how do you adorn the gospel, right? That's the question. We would love to hear from you today. As always, there's nothing like the calls on Truth Talk Live. The number to call in, 866-348-7884. How do you adorn the gospel? Why do I ask that question? Because today, this being a live show, is February 10th. Now, according to Dr. Date the Word, who sits across from me right this minute, that means 2:10. And Titus 2:10, if you weren't familiar with it, I bet you will be after you listen to the show today. Not pilfering,
Not stealing.
but showing all good fidelity.
Yes, complete
That they
faithfulness.
may adorn, you could say the gospel, you could say the doctrine, the teaching of God our Savior in all things. And that word adorn, by the way, comes from the Greek word
Cosmetic.
There you go, cosmetic. And so, which, by the way, we had this discussion right before we went on the air, and I'll just share with you my opinion, is that the greatest cosmetic ever delivered upon mankind that will adorn the gospel, you and anything else that you possibly could use, and it's spelled in English, not in Hebrew, not in Greek, but in English it's spelled S-M-I-L-E, smile.
And I'm telling you, that is just awesome to think. Of all the cosmetics anybody can buy, to go to a pharmacy or CVS, and here's this whole section, cosmetics. Just put on a smile. Robbie, you have brought already to our listeners some rich gold today. I'm telling you.
Well, you may know that I often have an opportunity, in fact, every week, to do a devotion at a nursing home, at a couple different ones that I have an opportunity to work with. And what I'd love to do this. You talk about the fruit of the Spirit always has seeds in it to make more fruit. And I said, let me show you exactly how this works. And of course, there's a lot of old ladies, sometimes a few old men, and they're sitting there, and I'll get right up in their front of them, and I'll put the biggest smile on my face I possibly and you just watch. They cannot, if you sit there in front of somebody and you just put the big smile and you look them dead in the eye and you give them a great big smile, they cannot not smile. In fact, I'm going to bet right this second you're smiling just thinking about this whole concept of smiling, and it totally adorns. Right? Because people want to know what's that guy so happy about, right?
Yeah. Yep. And our job, this adorn, make the gospel attractive. To do things that cause people to be drawn to. And I got to believe a lot of our listeners this morning did work with cosmetics, both men and women. I put on some deodorant. That's a cosmetic.
I put it the dry skin this time of year, being a geezer that I am. And by the way, I may have to market this new device I've discovered to put lotion on my back.
That's not your wife?
Well, if she's around, she does. But I have created this with my own little workshop, this device to apply lotion to my back. Oh, it's like heaven. Like, man, because, it's like crazy. What do you do? I mean, you feel like a bear. You're trying to find a door. Nonetheless,
I think
we
there's
use
an
cosmetics.
entrepreneur out there that's going, I got to call Robbie. We may have a new product for the market.
We need to know how you really, or maybe you knew someone that, man, they were so attractive because of their joy, because of their temperament, because of whatever, that you had to find out what was it about it, and they in return gave you the reason for their joy, and as it says in Peter, right? And so we would love to hear that story as well, or how you adorn the gospel. 866-348, I can hardly wait for these calls. 866-348-7884, 866-348-7884. Again, who knows the people that might be influenced?
Yes.
Yeah, just think about it. You share some great idea. I mean, seriously, something the Holy Spirit gave you on how you could adorn the gospel or how you could adorn the doctrine of Christ. And somebody listening in Ohio, somebody listening in Georgia, somebody listening in North Carolina or Florida or wherever they hear this, and the next thing you know, they're adorning it. Somebody sees it. Somebody comes to Christ as a result of your courage to call in today and share, how do you do that?
Yeah. This is a serious subject because as Paul is writing to Titus, he is addressing people who evidently, a lot of times our sermons are going to come because of something that's not going right, and we need to correct it. As Paul starts this verse, he says to stop doing something. There are things that are being done by people that are causing people to say, I don't want to have anything to do with the gospel. I don't want to have anything to do with church. I don't want to have anything to do with Christ. And so Paul says, stop these things. And now, so that, I love that phrase, so that you can represent and present Christ.
Adorning, right?
You're putting on a beautiful way so people can say, I want that rather than I don't want that. I've already got a text message telling me they're really glad that I wore deodorant today. And and I put on some aftershave. It's so true.
Yeah, those are cosmetics.
And yes, and when you do go out door knocking, witnessing, it's always important to brush your teeth and to use mouthwash. I don't know if you ever had a conversation. You used to sell cars, and you go to a car salesman and they got bad breath. You're not going to sell the car. So it's little things that you have to do just on the physical side of this. But ultimately, the attitudes and the actions of a believer can cause a person to be drawn to Christ.
And I'll tell you something else, just again, to get back to my original point. You can go on any showroom floor, in my opinion, there is. Just go to whatever dealership you like, and you just walk from office to office and look at the attitude of the salesperson.
Yes, I've done that.
You find the happiest, most joyful, peaceful-looking salesman, and I will almost bet you they're the number one salesman on that showroom floor. Because I can tell you when I was at Galloway Buick, it was Charlie Smith. He was the happiest man I ever met in my life, had a smile that was from here to tomorrow.
He knew he could make your day better.
Right? Scott Barwick, when I was at Rick, oh, man. I mean, he was the, if he didn't make you smile when he walked up to you, he just had that joy about him, right? And you think about how beautiful it is, but when that salesman walks up to you and, I just assume they have bad breath and they have a scowl and an attitude, right? That they don't look like, man, I mean,
yeah.
You got
you send a message with your face. You really do. And that was in Dale Carnegie's book, How to Win Friends, Influence People. That's one of the 6 things. Smile. And he puts in there about how it takes 72 muscles to frown, 14 muscles to smile. Some of you listening right now, you may be wore out because you've been frowning too much today. Take that frown off, put a smile on, and the day will go easier on you.
It's a rejoicing, kind of adorning, as we all see. This is one of those things that, but yet I can assure you that the amazing, people of God that I have come to know, I went to Calvary Baptist Church for years, and those who went in the season that I did would know Dr. Mark Quartz. if you were around that man for 2 minutes, and he would have been the best salesman ever walked the earth if he was a car salesman, but he was a gospel salesman. But you talk about somebody that adorned the gospel. Like, who was that in your life, man? That just like, man, when you thought of a godly person, this is who comes up in your dictionary, right? 866-348-7884. 866-34-TRUTH. We'll be right back.
You're listening to the Truth Network and truthnetwork.com.
Well, welcome back to Truth Talk Live. Today's question is, what's a great way to adorn the gospel? How can a Christian go about doing that? What Christian did you perhaps know that did that? Or maybe you've seen the opposite of that. We can learn from everybody. I got a big smile on my face right now, and I'm rejoicing because Bucksmith himself, Buxman, I don't know why I said Smith, but he's probably done some smithing while he was out there. But anyway, Buxman, you are on Truth Talk Live again, thank goodness.
And you two are two of my most favorite people on the planet, Dr. Carson and Robbie Billmore, the Christian car guy. Listen, you just made me smile, Robbie. I mean, I wasn't ready for that intro. I told our dear producer, Saint Nick. I love how Stu Epperson calls our producer Saint Nick. His name is Nick. Yeah. And I got to talking to him a little bit, and I said, "Hey, Nick, I don't know what the topic is, because I just now turned on the radio, and I had to get into the busmobile and go do some office errands. So I'm so glad you opened up this segment with the question. So, but I do want to tell you this. I was on the line yesterday.
I know guys, it. We missed it. I didn't get to you in time.
No. It wasn't your fault. I received a call from one of my investors that I had to take that call. When it's a financial guy, you want to talk to him. You don't want to waste their time. And it just so happened, Robbie, that's when he called. So I thank you. I thank you guys I'm sorry that I had to drop the call. But anyway, let me answer your question first, and then I want to tell you why I called yesterday, because yesterday was a great topic.
Good.
So what I've seen, it's Dr. Carson got it right. Before I was a Christian, low self-esteem. I didn't know why I was here and things like that. And I pursued people like Carnegie, making friends and how to make friends and influence people. And that book was written, Dr. Carson, back in the 30s or 40s?
Yeah. Back in the 20s and 30s there. Yeah, it's an old book.
I thought it was 20s and 30s, yeah. So Dr. Carson, he knows because he was there. Just kidding.
Easy,
I like that. I slip in the geezer comment. Because yesterday he was talking about how much older than I am than him. So,
Oh, wow. So I got the wrong guy. Okay. I meant to say Robbie this day. Okay. So anyway, I read his work, and I thought, you know what, Busman, since this has been around for this long, because I think I read it, guys, in probably around when I was in high school. Okay, right in that turbulent area for a young man or a young woman. They got some idea who they are, but honestly, and this goes out to the Christian parents, guys, those young ones who don't have that problem, I believe, is because they had good, solid Christian parenting. I didn't have that in the Busman home. I didn't have that. So I searched in the world to find my worth and my meaning. But I got to say this, is Carnegie's work, it helped me. God actually redeemed it when I did come to Christ. He took all of my memory and redeemed it for his purposes. So I want to put that out, too, that just because you may have been in a not-so-Christian home, or even sometimes my home was hellion. I mean, it was hell in my house a lot of the time growing up and stuff. God will redeem it, and he will make all of that stuff that was bad for good.
Yeah.
And so anyway, back to Carnegie.
That's well, yeah, it was 1936, just okay.
30s
19 years before I was born, Buxman.
Okay. Well, that means your dad.
My dad, my mom were all. They were
time.
definitely there. Yeah.
Awesome, but yes, I would Guys, would you recommend it to a Christian? I think I would.
Oh, absolutely.
Go ahead, Robbie.
It's on my top 50 list of.
There's an extensive section on Abraham Lincoln. And one of my favorite things in that book was how Lincoln never criticized the lengths he went to not to criticize.
I remember that.
Yep.
Yeah. It's invaluable
And
book.
Lincoln, little piece of knowledge for all the Busman fans out there, and I love you guys too. I say that in jest. Lincoln, guys, was always my favorite president because when you do the research on him as a senator, he just kept getting shot down and shot down and shot down.
I don't know that that's a good choice of words for Buxman, but
Oh, good. See, you're a dad. I can tell that was a morbid one.
Yeah.
That's a dad.
all right.
joke.
No. I'm sorry. God,
But yeah, he really had. Let's just put it this way: he had a hard road
he
to
did.
hoe when he was in politics. And then, gosh, like you say, the way he ended up, Robbie, is just tragic. Being shot by John Wilkes Booth in that theater. But anyway, Carnegie, he hit so many good points on how to carry out your Christianity.
Yeah.
And I don't know if Carnegie was a believer or not, but his actions surely mirrored some things that we can do as 21st century Christians today.
Yeah.
And so I want to say that, and so I would say, to answer your question, how can we make Jesus look good as we're ministering? Well, first, you got to go out and minister. You can't just listen to Truth Talk Live and say, oh, I went out and ministered because I listened to, three fellows on the radio. You got to actually do it. And you got to test to see how well you believe in the scriptures that tell you, go and make disciples. I'm happy to report, gentlemen, I've got up to 8 disciples now that I'm schooling in the Word of God. They're following me as I follow the Bible. I kind of moved Paul's words to the Corinthians a little bit to where he said, follow me as I follow Christ. So Dr. Carson, I say follow Buskman as he follows the Word of God, which is the 66 books of the Holy Bible. So everybody can be up to my speed if they just read it and decide to do it. That's the part that everybody stumbles on, is the doing it. We think going to church equals doing it. And guys, it does not. I'm sorry to say, it does not. And the book is very clear about that. Actually, it's a library. It's not a book. It's a library of 66 books. And anyway, so to make this real, put that smile on your face, lift somebody up, make them laugh. I made a guy laugh last night at a Taco Bell. It was late at night. I had some things I had to do that kept me up really late. I thought, I want to go get some Taco Bell. So I went and got Taco Bell at about 1:30 this morning. Yeah. So I was like Proverbs 31 woman. So anyway, I made this guy laugh so hard, he almost squirted the cherry Pepsi out of his nostrils.
Uh-oh.
So you got to do that. Yeah, I was wearing a raincoat. Don't worry, I was wearing a raincoat because I know how funny God can be through me. So anyway,
why did you call in yesterday?
Yes, yesterday. Thank you for bringing me back, Rob. So yesterday he was talking about the Super Bowl and talking about the Super Bowl side. I call it a sideshow,
right?
Because you watch the Super Bowl for the circus. You want to see the elephants and the giraffes and the funny clowns and stuff. When they make a bad call, it's like watching a circus. But then you get the sideshow that's still on the circus grounds. That you got to pay an extra 50 cents for. Now we don't have to do that watching the Super Bowl. But anyway, some of that stuff was really, really odd and weird and downright stupid. And all I know is I did not want to watch the conventional sideshow, the conventional halftime show. So I was sitting in a nice restaurant with my dear friend Tom Havel, retired Air Force Major Tom Havel. Hopefully some people out there know that name. But anyway, the proprietor of the restaurant came to Tom and I and said, hey, gentlemen, could I ask you a question while you're eating? And we said, sure. On our screens in halftime, There comes the music. You got to hold.
We got to hold. We're going to find out what the proprietor said when he comes back. We also have Mike in Dayton, wants to talk to you, I'm sure, Buxman, because he's been waiting to talk to you on the... So hang on, everybody. We'll be back, but we need to know, how do you adorn the gospel? Or maybe you know somebody who really, really did that. We'll be right back. 866-348-7884.
You're listening to the Truth Network and truthnetwork.com.
Welcome back to Truth Talk Live. Today is February the 10th. And, you know, if you have the honor, as I do, of sitting across from Dr. Date the Word Carson, you are constantly reminded of, oh, today is 2:10. So today is Titus 2:10, right? Not pilfering, but showing all good fidelity, that they may adorn the doctrine of God our Savior in all things. And so we're talking about how do you adorn the gospel? How do you adorn the doctrine in order that people would see Christ in you? In other words, one of those amazing things. We would love to know how that works in your life. 866-348-7884, 866-34-TRUTH. Now, we have Buxman on the line, but we also have Mike, and we're going to get to Mike before Buxman hangs up, because I know he wants to talk to you, Buxman. But when we left our hero, Buxman, he was in a restaurant while they were watching the Super Bowl, and the proprietor came up to their table and said, Buxman?
Are you there?
Yep.
Well, that's not what he said.
Oh, okay.
Thanks for the great setup. Robbie, you should be in radio. Hey, you ever thought about joining radio? I think you'd be good in radio.
Yeah, I thought about it. I got a face for radio, I've been told, yeah.
So he walks up and he asks us, he goes, hey, gentlemen, can I bother you? I'm taking a poll, and I would like to know, we're going to have both the Turning Point halftime and the demonic bunny sideshow. No, he didn't say that. That's my words. Okay. He said halftime show. Which would you two gentlemen like to hear the sound of? Because we're only going to play the sound for one of the two options. So obviously, Major Tom and I, who are Christians, said, well, we would like to hear the sound for option A, the Turning Point show. And he said, thank you very much. And he moved on. So he took a hash, he put it on the side of Turning Point, 2 hashes. So that's how he was doing it. He was doing hashes. And so anyway, come halftime show, he put the sound on, guess what? Ding, 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 Turning Point. And what he did was he took the others who voted for Super Demonic Bunny and put them in a area of the restaurant where they could be secluded so that they could hear their sound and not hear the sound of Turning Point. So I was blown away by that, by this proprietor doing that. I've never seen that before. So I shook his hand firmly, gentlemen, and I said, you know what? That took courage, because you're which do you fall? Do you fall towards Christ, or do you fall towards
Amir.
The world?
That is, it's absolutely beautiful. But I know that Mike has been dying to talk to you about. I'll bet you did. But I know Mike has been dying to talk to you for weeks.
Hey, Mike.
And so, how are you?
Hey, hi, Buxman. How you doing, sir?
Hey, you go.
We gotta meet. We gotta meet sometime. Yeah, we gotta meet sometime. Yeah, we gotta meet sometime.
We do. I was thinking about
I'll be glad.
when Robbie said he was on.
I would glad for you to disciple me. That would be fun. I mean,
wow.
I would love. Well, thank you. I would love to hear your opinion on things, and both of us sharpen each other. You know what I mean? That would be awesome.
Yeah, iron
no
does that.
doubt about that, Mike.
So, Mike, what say you about adorning the gospel?
Well, adorning the gospel is being friendly, being as friendly as you can.
Kind.
When you see someone, you just say, you say good things to that person. You don't always, you don't always, man, you have a great smile. Man, you, where did you get that jacket? That jacket is nice. I like that jacket.
Mike is on it, guys. Mike is on it.
Oh, yeah.
That's Dale Carnegie right there.
Yeah, and you also say, man, it's cold outside. Or, man, can I buy you that coffee? I do a lot of that. I do a lot of that at Speedway, and that's where I get my coffee, and I do that in the morning. And I also give a joke sometimes. I used to go in there and give redneck jokes every morning to a couple people there. Redneck joke. You might be a redneck if you know the sound of your friends' mufflers. So
you know their names by their
Welcome
mufflers.
to Southwest Ohio.
All right. I got a little trivia for you, just so you'll know that, Dale Carnegie was a contemporary, as you may know, of Napoleon Hill, who wrote Think and Grow Rich. Both amazing books that changed salesmanship in this country to a great extent, because that's what they were both written for. Yeah. Dale Carnegie came out of sort of the YMCA movement, which was very much the Young Men's Christian Association, and along those lines, and the same thing with Napoleon Hill.
Not to be confused with the song.
Yeah. Well, it's still the same thing. It is. It was especially fun for him to, stay at the YMCA. But anyway, just so you guys know that those things were adorning the people, and if there's, and one of the things that they taught, and again, being a salesman most of my life, for 40 years I sold cars, the first and most important sale you make is the one that you make to yourself. And so to adorn the doctrine, if you want my opinion, to some extent, I think we have to truly be sold on it, which means we got to understand it.
Well, if Christ hasn't changed your life, why would you tell anyone else about how he could change their life?
Right.
And so changed lives want to tell other people how their lives were changed. I didn't change my life. Jesus Christ changed it. And he's the difference maker. And that's part of that testimony. Right.
And so you're listening and you're thinking, man, I got something to share. Well, of course you do. We would love to hear from you. 866-348-7884, 866-34-TRUTH. And so, Doc and I we've been studying Proverbs 31, Buxman, during the break. When you say
just like the Proverbs 31 woman out here in Southwest Ohio.
So she rose early, but you said you stayed up late. So I'm guessing we're kind of. He was saying that you were going with the holding the distaff verse, and I thought you perhaps were right. So which one of the Proverbs?
Well, buying and selling garments can sometimes take a while when you gotta land the deal. You know that as a salesman, Robbie. Come on.
That's fun. I love it. Well, you guys are my heroes. I appreciate you both calling in so much today. Yes. God bless you both. And
we'll connect, Mike. God will bring us together, Mike.
He will. He will. What I'm going to do is I'm going to have Nick put you both on hold, and you guys can share information.
Hey, that would be great. I'll hold on.
Oh, no.
Awesome.
Saint Nick will hook you up. All right.
Okay, that'll be cool.
God bless everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. What say you? 866-348-7884, 866-334-TRUTH, right?
Yeah.
And, another issue that I always think about on this subject is, what it says, that blessed are the feet of one who brings good news, and gospel being good news. Yes. And so you might remember the story of two runners in the book of Kings it was in 2 Samuel. It's in 2 Samuel that David's son had been killed, and two runners take off running.
Yeah.
And there's a man on the wall watching the two, and you can never, ever forget what David says as he's looking at him. But Ahithophel is the one that stands out in my mind because David says two things about him. He obviously outran the other guy. And he said, oh, that sounds like he runs like Ahithophel. He's a good man.
Yeah, and he's going to bring me good news. But
and so with your life, when people think of you running at them with whatever news, do they think like what Titus was? What Paul is explaining to Titus is that, hey, do they think, man, that guy, a little shady there, a little pilfering going on. He's a car salesman after all. or what is it that that is it? How would people think you? And I think of who in your life, Doc, when you think, obviously you worked with Jerry Falwell all those years, and he brought the whole package, right?
Well, he did, and my story goes all the way back with him to I'm lost. I'm living the worldly, I will add, wicked lifestyle out of high school, and the first time I meet him, I was surprised at how kind he was. I was expecting, because of my hair, because of what I was wearing, and because of having beer in my hand, an 8-pack of beer, I was expecting him to come down on me.
Oh, you were packing.
Yes, yes. Yeah. And there may be a handful of people that know that Miller used to do an 8-pack of what they were called little ponies.
Right.
And I loved those little ponies. And so as I'm walking out in this convenience store, he came up and shook my hand. How you doing tonight? He didn't just shake my hand, he spoke to me. And it was one of those weird, I'm telling you, weird moments that later on I look back on and saw how a man who spoke a lot of truth that people thought was very hateful, he was a friend of sinners. And he battled, as we see sin. We have a righteous anger, but we have to speak the truth in love. And I think that my journey of finally making the choice to follow Christ came because people spoke the truth to me in love, being asked, how much longer are you going to keep living this way? And when are you going to finally get rid of this stuff and make a change in your life, turn to Christ? And Nathan had to speak to David. And sometimes we have to speak firmly.
Right, but it still adorns, doesn't it?
Yes.
Because people that do that in love, and they're doing it in love, that they actually care about you.
Yeah.
Like, that grandmother or whatever that's telling you, I love you, man, don't do that.
Yeah.
And know that, and you have a truth detector inside of you that knows, hey, that's beautiful. How about that person in your life?
Yeah.
866-348-7884, 866-34-TRUTH. We would love to hear your idea of how to adorn the gospel. We'll be right back.
You're listening to the Truth Network and truthnetwork.com.
Welcome back to Truth Talk Live. Today's question, it is, by the way, 2/10, if you didn't know that. February is the second month, and the 10th day of the second month would make it, according to Dr. Date the Word, Titus 2:10, right?
Yes, if I could make this a national day, it would be a day of making the gospel attractive.
It's adorned, right?
Adorned.
And so with that being thought of, the question that really challenges, right? It's fascinating to me. One of the places that you might be challenged is in social media, right? Well, I do a podcast / YouTube channel on Rabbi and the Rabbi, where this wonderful rabbi out of Jerusalem teaches Torah and wonderfully stuff that I think is amazing. But often I get some really negative comments about Jewish people. I mean, it's just
negative and nasty.
And so you have the opportunity. It's like you can't just, since you're the moderator, you can't just let that lay out there. You got to. And how is it that how does it you respond on social media? Maybe you have some wisdom. I could use it. 866, I really could. 866-348-7884. 866-34-TRUTH. And it's amazing, and I don't know if you ever run into it, but, often in social media, somebody will just attack you if you are some way associated with Christ. And interestingly, like, I've had people actually attack the name Christian car guy. Like, I mean, it seems crazy, but it's like, why would you ever put that word in front of car guy? In other words, it was not making Christ look bad. It was making the car guy part. It was crazy, But nonetheless, you can't expect the world to act anything else but like the world. I mean, they don't know. They're as lost as I was, right? And I was just, you were talking about you, Dr. Carson. I mean,
Well, no filter by the world doesn't mean the Christian now has no filter.
Right. And so it gives you an opportunity, actually, right, to, return, hate for love and those kind of things that
love for hate.
Is that the way it goes?
Yeah, we overcome evil by doing something good. It's not a get even, and those are things then that do make the gospel more attractive. Ways we can make the gospel unattractive. Jesus was really, really, really concerned about how we treated other people, to the point that he said, you don't call someone a fool. You never devalue a person that God has valued. And he values a person so much that he sent his son to die for them. So here I am looking at a person who is of a different ethnicity, and I'm calling them names. Well, how are you going to witness to them? That doesn't work. The Christian can be very ugly when they discriminate, when they show partiality. Yeah,
unfortunately, and this is terribly unfortunate as I read this little description here. It says people expect Christians to be judgmental. Yeah. They expect them to be angry. They expect them to be hypocritical. So actually, when they meet you and you're humble, right, and you're patient and you have great kindness, as Mike described, it surprises them.
Mm-hmm. Surprised by kindness. Yeah.
And, that surprise is adornment. It's an absolutely beautiful idea that is one of those things. And I'll share this story. I've shared it before, but I'll never forget it. I was trapped by my kids. My oldest, my middle son, I guess would be the best way to put it, Robbie, had this new girlfriend, and she was from New Jersey, and apparently she was very, very pro-gay. I did not know that, right? And they invite her to lunch with us, and so my other two kids are there with Robbie, and they all know all this fact that I do not know. And so one of them just throws out this, knowing she's going to get Robbie she's going to take Daddy up to take the bait. And she says, Daddy, did you hear Ellen DeGeneres got a new comedy show or a new talk show or whatever she said? And she knew that the next words out of my mouth were going to be, oh, and I won't even say what I said. My son's new girlfriend turned at me with fire in her eyes and just started, I can't even remember what all she said, but it came very fast and very hard immediately. And I went, oh my goodness, I realized what had happened. And I just fell on my face like, man, Tina, I am so sorry. I cannot believe I did that. That was totally disrespectful. That was just way out of line, and you are right to be mad at me. You have every right to be mad at me. But I will tell you that my relationship with Jesus changed everything in my life. And I went on to share a little bit about, my prayer life or my testimony with her and whatever. And she listened. Why? because instead of anger and all that stuff, I got humble and ended up, she later on would actually, really embrace her faith. And she at one time was a producer of the Christian Car Guy Show afterwards. If you see the documentary on the Christian Car Guy Show on YouTube, that was done by Tina.
How about that?
And it started out in this really like horrible situation, but if you take that side of things, which it's easy enough to be baited into doing, but you're the one who made the choice to say those things, which is what I did. Yeah. But fortunately, God redeemed that and gave me a chance to have that relationship, and it came back from a point of like I really, really felt horrible.
Each day we're going to start a day out, usually by doing something with cosmetics. And I would hope our listeners today can take away what you were just talking about there. We have to be thinking. Just as we think about how we're going to present ourselves physically, make sure the hair is combed and has that right makeup on. How do you present yourself to be appealing? How do I put on today as I walk outside of my house to make the gospel attractive? And that does mean I can't be blowing the horn and screaming at people while I'm driving, and they may cut you off, but you can't cut them off. You've got to have that mindset. And I think it was a guy named Paul Gilbert wrote, you are writing a gospel, a chapter each day, by deeds that you do, by words that you say. Men read what you write, whether faithless or true. Say, what is the gospel according to you? And just as we put on the makeup, we put on the cosmetics, we adorn. We have to put on the smile. Today I get to represent Christ. I'm his ambassador. I get to present Christ to people. I get to be the one that tells the best news ever, not just good news, the best news ever. And Robbie, you could tell me about the best car I could ever own, but now we get to tell people about the best Savior you could ever know.
Yeah, and it's really cool when you think about it. The ultimate adornment would be what? To put on Christ himself.
Yes.
And what is the things that you're thinking of is grace and truth, right? And grace, right? That idea when you look that person in the eye and they are your favorite, and you treat them as if they're your favorite and they matter everything in the world to you because, Jesus is full of grace. And so everybody in his eyes is going to have this favor that's beyond belief. And so when you have this opportunity to look that person in the eye and favor them amazingly while speaking the truth to them, right? Don't forget the second part of the equation, grace and truth. He was full of grace and truth. And so as we put on those two attributes, like, oh my goodness, you couldn't be more beautiful.
Yeah. And Jesus did call out the sinful living. I mean, that's
go and sin no more.
Go and sin no more. And our lives are to be now resembling him, follow Christ, and live like he lived. And again, he reaches out to the one that's the most hopeless, the most helpless. But he also, as he grows us, there is this expectation that we're going to now be transformed by the Word of God. And we'll get the Word in, and the world gets out. Lives become different. And I'm hoping our listeners today will think about how they can make the gospel attractive to a family member, to a friend, to a neighbor, to an associate, maybe even a stranger.
Right, and in 2026, there's challenges they didn't have 20 years ago when Dale Carnegie, texting with grace.
Yes.
Social media with grace.
Yes.
Right, emails with grace.
Yes.
All those things are at times challenging, right? And what does that feel like?
And there's words that we may say to someone from our lips, and they kind of maybe evaporate. This social media, you can write something nasty, and 10 years from now, that thing is still out there that can come back to haunt you. And I don't want to be known for being ugly.
Like the boomerang snake, and will come back and bite you.
Yes, the boomerang snake.
Thank you for listening. Thanks for your calls today. Well, you got Peter Rosenberger tomorrow on Truth Talk Live. Thank you, Dr. Date the Word. Go to get the Date the Word app.
Yes.
DateTheWord.com. Amazing website. All that's available. Thank you for listening.